What's made him so consistent the last couple of games?
Well, he comes out and he's consistent in practice. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I mean, you're going to play on Saturday how you practice during the week. So he comes out here and he performs well in practice, and he takes that confidence of doing well Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to the field on Saturday and does well.
In terms of kickoffs, I mean, it seems like in all three phases, and I know kickoffs kind of get lost, but to be able to pin a guy back on a 25, or if they're returning it from 7 yards deep, just how big has that been as well?
Being able to get the ball deep in the end zone is huge. Being able to place the ball in the proper spot if it's not in the end zone is also equally important because everybody's sending their coverage unit in a certain direction, whether it be middle, right, left, and so it's critical that if it's not deep in the end zone where they're taking a knee, that you get it in the right spot. So he's done a really nice job as far as the depth of his kicks. Here and there he can improve slightly on his accuracy with that, but by and large he's doing a nice job as far as punting, place kicking, and kicking off.
When you look at Christian Jones for Alabama, it's obviously very athletic, but are they really sound in terms of blocking, making sure they get a hat on a hat as well?
Yeah, I mean, their return unit is outstanding, both punt return and kick return, and he's dangerous with the ball in his hands, there's no question about it. So it's obvious he's got a touchdown in each of those areas. Some of it he's created for himself, and some of it's been blocked really well for him. So he's someone that we've got to be aware of, and obviously got to do a great job as far as tackling, and that's going to be big.
I know everyone talks about Nick Saban's defense, but you go back and look at Javier Arenas, what he did for Alabama. I think he had 6 or 7 return touchdowns. Is special teams and returns in particular just as much a calling card of his teams as defense maybe?
Absolutely. I mean, you look at their units right now. They're punting. I think they're 10th in the country. They're averaging like 47 yards a punt. I mean, he's outstanding. Kicking off, I mean, they are difficult to get the ball past the 20. And I'm certain that kicker can put the ball deep in the end zone, but they just put it inside the 5 and force you to return the ball and say that, hey, we're going to go down there and cover and tackle you inside the 20. So they do a remarkable job in their coverage unit with kickoff. Obviously, a couple big returns for touchdowns. I mean, they blocked the punt. They're extremely dynamic in the return game. So their special teams, I mean, just as much as their defense or offense, I mean, it's a third of the reason why they're winning their ball games. There's no doubt.
In terms of, I saw there was the play where Devin brought the ball in the end zone, but I'm sure y'all probably didn't want him to on Saturday. Was that just a guy who had missed some time and was eager to go make a play, maybe?
Yeah, I think he was excited to make a play, and the biggest thing is as a player, you got to know the times that a play is going to be made. A play is going to happen because everything aligns right, not because you go out and you become Superman and you do something that you shouldn't do. Big plays occur when everybody does their job very well and you give great effort. That's when big plays occur, not because of some Superman effort.
All right, well, speaking of a Superman effort, it looked like Reeves maybe made another huge play on Saturday, tackling that guy out in space like that. You know, probably was a long return that could have been coming the other way. Is that just another him being a football player?
Yeah, he's done a nice job. I mean, he's on our coverage units. He's leading us in tackles, so he's doing a nice job. And obviously, that was a big one because I mean, we still had someone outside of him. Greg King was outside of him to be able to contain the football, but that thing was going to get into some open green grass if he didn't make the play. So we were excited about that.
I want to ask you about the familiarity. Several of you guys have worked together previously. How much does that help on a coaching staff, and in what ways?
In a lot of ways. From offense, defense, obviously just the familiarity of what we're looking for, what we want to do, game plan wise, I mean, having similar thought processes as far as, hey, if they're giving us this, here's our answers, here's what we're doing, here's the finer points of each of those route concepts, blocking schemes. That's huge. It's big on special teams. I know that because special teams is no one coach. I mean, in one unit, you may have 5-6 guys coaching it up. And if you've got a majority of those guys that have been a part of it and they know the scheme that we're doing, the techniques that we're doing, that makes it a lot easier as well. So it's not just offense and defense, but it's huge on special teams because, again, it's just that cohesiveness, that everybody being on the same page. And when you don't have that, I mean, you spend more time coaching the coaches up on each other, what you want out of each unit than you would coaching the players up. Not that it's a ton of time, but it does take away from, hey, we're already on the same page because we've done this before and we're doing it again.
You've coached multiple positions for Coach Jones. How much does that help? Do you know what he expects from this guy, and this guy?
Sure, I think it helps whenever you've coached multiple positions, as a lot of guys on our staff have. It gives you a big picture idea of what the grand scheme of everything is. And if you've been on, like I've been on both sides of the ball, sometimes it helps you as far as when you're game planning, hey, these are the things that gave us trouble with that when we ran that coverage or when we were playing that front or with that blitz. So I think that that's good for all the guys that have done multiple positions, and most of the guys on our staff have coached a couple different positions.
One last thing, Alabama every year seems like they lose 5 guys in the first round of the NFL draft on defense, and yet the next year they're just as good, if not better. How do they do it?
They've got a lot of good football players. I mean, and that's the reality of it. They're recruiting well, obviously. They're not making very many mistakes in the recruiting category, and so there's a lot of competition. And when you've got a number 2 that's competing every single day because he's biting on the heels of number 1, when that number 1 leaves, he's ready to go. And when they're recruiting well, then they got the next guy in line. So I think it stems from recruiting. I mean, that's the lifeblood of your program. So when they're recruiting well and recruiting very good football players, it's just kind of when one guy leaves, next guy steps in. That's what it seems like to me, having an outsider's perspective.
Okay, thanks.